The bride, Grace Miller, had graduated from a prestigious music college and had a tendency to look down on me, a high school graduate. To my surprise, she insisted I play the piano at my brother's wedding. I had never mentioned that I could play, so her request felt like a deliberate attempt to unsettle me. As I hesitated nervously in front of the piano, Grace leaned in and whispered something startling. "Honestly, I have a real boyfriend besides Jack," she said with a smug smile, making me shiver with anxiety. I could tell that smile was hiding something darker beneath the surface. I'm Alina Johnson, 32, single, and employed at a wedding hall. My family consists solely of my brother and me. After our parents divorced when I was in high school, we lost contact with our father, who never supported us. A few years later, we faced another blow when our mother died in an accident. With no other options, I went straight to work to support both myself and my brother. Jack, my younger brother by 3 years, is sharp and intelligent. He earned a full scholarship, completed his university studies, and secured a job at a well-known company. I was immensely proud of him, especially as he was about to marry. Jack had told me his bride was the daughter of a company executive, beautiful, pleasant, and family-oriented. Grace had graduated from a prestigious music institution and was already giving private piano lessons. She seemed almost perfect. During the holiday season, our families met for the first time. Grace was even more attractive and charming in person than in her photos. She approached me with a request. "I heard you work at a wedding hall. Could we host our wedding there?" "Of course, we'd be delighted to help," I replied, eager to support my brother's special day. Grace's parents were proud and shared stories of her numerous piano awards and competitions. But when her father mentioned a rival who often outperformed Grace, her demeanor shifted. "My daughter always excelled, but there was always this one girl who consistently took first place. Very frustrating." "What was her name again?" "Let's not dwell on that," Grace interrupted abruptly, changing the subject. Later, as I stepped outside to take a work call, I saw Grace returning from the restroom. I thanked her for the lovely day. "I appreciate everything you've done for us today. It's been fantastic." Grace's demeanor suddenly shifted again. "A high school graduate is attending today's meeting," she said dismissively, and hurried back into the room, leaving me bewildered. I was left standing there, unable to process her abrupt change in attitude. When I returned to my seat after the call, Grace had resumed her pleasant demeanor, leaving me confused about what had just transpired. "Anne, would you like something to drink?" Grace asked with an air of politeness, handing me the drink list. I must have misheard her, I thought, not wanting to make a fuss. I kept the incident to myself, and the meeting soon wrapped up. But it became clear that this was no misunderstanding when Grace and I started meeting alone to plan the wedding. Her condescension was palpable. "You don't resemble Jack, who is very attractive," she would remark each time we met, suggesting that I was somehow less appealing. Grace frequently mocked my high school education and my single status with biting sarcasm. "If you have so much time to help others get married, why don't you worry about yourself?" she sneered. "Oh, but you're just a high school graduate. With your background, I doubt you'd find a partner." She took every opportunity to boast about her piano achievements. "I've always been the one winning top prizes in piano competitions, unlike you, who went straight to work after high school," she'd taunt. Her constant barbs took their toll. Although she was set to marry my brother, I couldn't warm up to her. But since Jack had chosen her and their relationship seemed stable, I decided to keep Grace's true nature to myself, enduring her cruelty alone. Months passed, and the wedding day arrived. As Grace was the daughter of an executive, many company employees attended the event. We had arranged special accommodations for them, treating them as VIPs. Although I could have taken the day off as the groom's sister, I wanted to be part of my brother's special day, even if it was from behind the scenes. So, I worked as a staff member until just before the ceremony. With only minutes remaining before the ceremony, 2 of Grace's friends entered the dressing room while I was touching up my makeup. I wanted to greet them, but they were deep in conversation, so I focused on finishing my preparations. Suddenly, their discussion took an unexpected turn. "Hey, did you know Grace is seeing someone else?" one of them said. "I heard he's from the nightclub. She's just marrying Jack to keep up appearances," the other responded. "If that's true, I feel sorry for the groom, who has no idea," one of Grace's friends remarked. I was struck with panic. The idea of stopping the wedding rushed through my mind, but without solid proof, I couldn't cancel the ceremony. As the wedding ceremony began, my confusion deepened. The guests enjoyed entertainment as the ceremony reached its midpoint, with Grace's friends, all music college graduates, performing beautiful pieces on their instruments. Then, without warning, Grace took the microphone and announced, "Now my sister-in-law will give a piano presentation." Instantly, all eyes in the hall were on me. I was caught off guard. Grace had never mentioned this, and I had never told her I could play the piano. This was not part of the plan. Grace was supposed to play the piano in the second half of the wedding, and the instrument wasn't even prepared yet. Hearing Grace's announcement, the ceremony staff scrambled to set up the piano while I stood there, frozen in shock. Grace approached the family table and yanked my arm with surprising force. "Come with me," she demanded, dragging me toward the piano. "Hey, you didn't tell me about this," I whispered, trying to stay calm under the scrutiny of the guests. Grace leaned in, her voice a harsh whisper. "When I see you, I can't help but get angry. Annoying you is all I care about. Is that why you're treating me like this?" I asked. "Exactly," she replied, her smile dripping with malice. In that moment, my disdain for her was palpable. If I refused to perform, the ceremony would be ruined. Grace's threats were clear. If I cried in front of my father, the marriage could be annulled, and Jack might lose his job. Did she really want to risk her brother's job over her petty grievances? And did she really want to marry someone she described as boring? Grace's confession confirmed the rumors I had overheard. As I processed her words, the piano was finally set up. "Let's see what you've got," Grace taunted as she directed me to the piano. I sat down on the bench, my body trembling, and my breath coming in heavy gasps. "Maybe it's too much to ask of someone who only graduated high school. Perhaps you've never even touched a piano," Grace sneered, her triumphant smile widening. The audience's murmur grew louder. Noticing my distress, a staff member approached with concern. "Are you okay?" she asked gently. Meanwhile, Grace's satisfied smirk lingered at the edge of her lips. "Play if you can, but it seems I might have been wrong about you. Sorry for the misunderstanding," Grace mocked. But then my brother spoke up, shifting the mood. "Don't you know my sister?" Jack said. With that, I broke the silence and began playing. I chose "Dream of Love," a classic wedding piece. As the melody filled the room, the previously noisy venue fell silent. By the time I finished, the hall erupted in thunderous applause. My colleagues, who had no idea of my piano skills, were visibly moved. In contrast, Grace's face turned a deep shade of red, her frustration evident as she bit her lip. "You were so nervous and trembling earlier. How did you play so well?" Grace demanded, astonished. "I didn't mention it, but I studied at a music college overseas," I replied. Grace staggered back when I revealed the university's name. "By the way, I was trembling because I was nervous," I added with a smile. I was excited to be playing the piano again after such a long time. Grace, visibly shocked, exclaimed, "That's the college I wanted to attend but couldn't. How could someone from a single-mother family like you manage to go there?" "I've been taking piano lessons since I was a little girl," I explained. "I had support from those around me. However, when my mother passed away, I had to leave music school to come home and help my brother. I never mentioned my piano background to avoid overshadowing you. It seems my brother hadn't mentioned it to you either." Grace, clearly unwilling to acknowledge my achievements, tried to dismiss my past. Just then, one of Grace's friends, noticing my expression, suddenly recognized me. "Is she, by any chance, Alina Garcia?" one of Grace's friends asked. "Oh, if that's the case, she's so incredible that we can't even compete," the friend said, recognizing me. She had attended my music college and remembered me well. Miss Garcia from the United States was known for her exceptional piano skills. When Grace heard the name Garcia, she looked at me with a stunned expression. "Are you the Alina Garcia who won all those awards in competitions?" she asked, incredulous. "I can't say I won all the awards, but I did win quite a few," I replied. "Yes, that's right. I was the one who always stood in front of you at every competition. Alina Garcia was my name before my parents divorced," I continued. As Grace remained speechless, the MC approached me. "It was a marvelous performance. Would you like to say something into the microphone?" the MC asked. Seizing the opportunity to expose Grace, I took a deep breath and spoke into the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, I have something important to reveal. Grace is having an affair." A gasp swept through the crowd. Grace's parents looked on in shock, their mouths agape. "No, that's not true. She's just making things up," Grace tried to deny, but I quickly connected my phone to the speaker and played a recording. "Honestly, I have another boyfriend. I only married Jack to appease my parents." Grace's voice echoed through the hall. I had anticipated her deceit and recorded her confession. Her face turned ashen as the truth was exposed. "You disgraceful girl," Grace's father shouted, his voice filled with anger. Chaos erupted as the guests reacted to the revelation. "I'm sorry, Papa, I'm sorry," Grace pleaded, but her father was unmoved. "I can never forgive you. You are no longer my daughter," he declared, cutting her off. Jack, now furious, joined in the confrontation, condemning Grace's actions. "How dare you deceive me? I'm not marrying you," my brother declared, his voice filled with fury. "Please, reconsider," Grace begged, but my brother's anger was unyielding. "Apologize to my sister too," he demanded, pushing her away. Grace looked desperate, floundering for a solution. "Please forgive me, everyone, please forgive me too," she pleaded, still focused solely on herself, with no apology directed at me. "You've been insulting me for so long, and now you expect me to forgive you? You take far too many things for granted," I said coldly. "How will I ever manage if Papa and Jack abandon me?" Grace cried, revealing that the man she was having an affair with was financially irresponsible and that she couldn't rely on his money alone. "I don't care about your situation. I'm not going to forgive you," I responded firmly. In a final, desperate attempt, Grace bowed her head to me. "I apologize for everything I've done. I'm truly sorry," she said, tears streaming down her face. Her makeup was smeared, and her eyes were dark from crying. It was a pitiful sight, but considering everything she had done to me, I couldn't bring myself to forgive her. "I feel nothing for you. You insulted me for graduating from high school and hurt my dear brother. Never show your face in front of us again," I stated resolutely. Grace broke down in tears and was escorted out of the ceremony hall by her relatives. Her parents apologized to the remaining guests, and the wedding was abruptly cancelled. After the guests left, my brother and I had a heart-to-heart. "I'm really sorry if I caused you pain by falling for her," he said, genuinely regretful. "I'll be fine. Are you going to be okay?" I asked, concerned for him. "I need some time to sort out my feelings, but I'll get back on my feet soon," he assured me. I believed him and decided to support him through this tough period. Eventually, he and Grace officially ended their engagement. Jack received compensation for his distress, and Grace's parents cut her off, evicting her from their home. Struggling without their support, Grace could no longer afford her piano lessons and had to take on part-time work, which was insufficient due to her lack of skills. Her boyfriend also left her as soon as he realized she had no more financial resources. Jack, on the other hand, threw himself into his work and was soon promoted. He was thrilled that his hard work had paid off. As for me, I began receiving more requests to play the piano at wedding ceremonies, and my schedule became increasingly busy. I look forward to bringing joy to many more people through my piano performances.